the West Tigers. Hello and welcome back to Rugby League Outlaws. We start this week on a sour note. The aforementioned West Tigers look like they may be in line to sack Michael Maguire. The quick fix that works every time except the last 5 times the West Tigers did this. Again, rather than look within themselves, make some hard decisions, or to sack the coach and start again. We'll be here again in 5 years making the same jokes, 3 Tigers coaches further along. Tim Sheens is set to take over as coaching director or something of the like, which, worked 20 years ago, so why not again? There's no quality coaches on the market. There's no quick fix. Tigers, stick with the bloke. He's won a premiership. The fans like him. That roster is atrocious. The culture, it sucks. It starts at the top. What hasn't changed in those 20 years? The board has made the same ridiculous decisions, and I look forward to 10 more years of laughter. In far more serious news, Penrith Panthers trainer is under review. It came out today the second time this season for stopping the game for a serious injury. We saw on Saturday night, Parramatta had the ball a couple of metres out, Penrith was scrambling in defence, and the trainer called for the game to be stopped. Look, Ashley Klein was 100% within his rights to stop the game. He had to, as per the rules. We'll talk about that another time because I've got some strong feelings about that. But the fact was, it was an ankle injury 20 metres from play. It's been reported that the Panthers trainer did not follow the correct protocol, though, in that he didn't perform an assessment on field and rule a serious injury. This is something they got to look at in the off-season. This is the second time this has happened this year by this same trainer. So we'll hear more about it, but all in all, Terry?
Yeah, Dan, I just want to talk about the Parramatta-Penrith game. Look, it was a much better game than I thought it was going to be, even though it wasn't so high-scoring. Some great defence, some big hits. Parramatta defended their line and, like their life depended on it. It was a fantastic game. Look, they play any other team apart from, Penrith and Melbourne. They win that game, they win it comfortably. And that includes Souths, I think. But look, I just want to say that there's a lot of people that have come out and targeted some specific refereeing calls, and whilst there were some pretty average calls from Ashley Klein, there were some pretty average calls both ways. I think Parramatta made way too many mistakes, and just probably their decision-making let them down. And I know Mitchell Moses got taken out on that line break, but, from Blake Ferguson to kick the ball, could have passed the ball back on the inside. Penasini may have got there, may not, but they would have had the ball in possession. So I think, look, whilst Ashley Klein didn't have his best game, he definitely didn't have his worst game, and there were more things that you could point out to Parramatta costing themselves the game than some specific refereeing decisions.
In hilarious news, the ratings have come out from this weekend's blockbuster Western Sydney Derby. 1.52 million people tuned in to watch Penrith beat Parramatta in what was a pretty amazing game, to be totally honest. Beforehand, some of us, myself included, watched the Wallabies beat South Africa. Only 464,000 people tuned in, which means the NRL is 1 million people more popular than rugby union. I'm shocked it wasn't 10 million.
Look, courtesy of Top Sports Tips, they actually put the Brisbane Broncos Mad Monday stuff-ups at $1.10. So I threw all my savings that I had from Top Sports onto that, and they haven't let me down. We've had not one but 2 incidents from the Brisbane Broncos. Obviously, the fight between Flegler and Jordan Ricky, nothing in it. It was great to see the Broncos forwards putting up some fight, though, because they didn't do it for the entire 2021 campaign, apart from when they played the Sharks, of course. And now this morning it's come out that Anthony Milford has been accused of domestic violence. Look, the Broncos have come out and said, well, he's not a Bronco anymore. He's completed his contractual obligations. Unless you've paid him out until October 31, he's still a Bronco. This falls on you, and that's why you've released a club statement from it. It's good to see that the Broncos culture is still going alive and strong up there. Couldn't have asked for a better club for it to happen to either.
And finally, in some more funny news, Ryan Gerther has been slammed in the media for suggesting that Manly are flat track bullies. I've got some stats here because Ryan Gerther was a personal favourite of mine, and I'm going to back him up. Against good sides, these are Manly's results this year. 46-6 loss to the Roosters, a 26-12 loss to South, a 46-6 drubbing at the hands of Penrith, 28-16 loss to Penrith, close, a 28-18 loss to the Storm, and then a 40-12 loss to Melbourne just 2 weeks ago. Now, they did have a big win over Parramatta, 56-10, which is pretty impressive. I know Para were down some troops, but to beat them by that score doesn't really matter. Girther was absolutely correct. Manly have been nothing but flat track bullies this season. Tommy Turbo's had some shocking games against good teams. He's played really, really well against ordinary teams, and he's battered terrible teams like the Tigers and the Dragons, and unfortunately the Sharks. Now's your chance, Manly fans. You beat South in the prelim. You've taken a big scalp, set up the biggest game of the season, where you can once again lose by 50 to the Storm.
What's annoying Terry?
What's annoying Terry this week? I want to touch back on him. I've already spoken about him before, but Ashley Klein getting a finals game when you got referees Grant Atkins, Adam G, Ben Cummins. We've all seen the quality of Ben Cummins absolutely ripping the Raiders off. Surely he can do that to another team in the finals as well. But there's absolutely no way that you can convince me or any rugby league fan that Ashley Klein is one of the top 2 referees in this game. It's really annoying me that he's got a finals game. That's what's annoying Terry this week.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Fitzgibbon era has officially begun. Well, kinda. So Fitz will start officially on the 1st of November, where once again, hopefully, he'll turn this club into an absolute powerhouse of rugby league. Which means some hard decisions will be made. We've still got a stack of players off contract, which I'm going to hand over to Terence to talk about now.
Yeah, look, we got some off-contract players. Where are they going to go? Are they going to stay or not? So just go through them, and it's my personal opinion on what I want to see happen. But the first one, Aiden Tolman. Look, I'm 50-50 on this one, but I'm probably leaning towards more of him staying and just being that older statesman around the club. He played way too many games this year than he should have. Hopefully now that we've signed some forwards, and apparently there's a few more coming in the next couple of weeks or months once the finals campaigns are over, that Tolman can just be that guy who's there if we need him. If Aiden Tolman plays anywhere between 4 and 8 games for you, it's great. But when he's playing 15, 16 games for you, it's not the best. But just we've got a good crop of young forwards coming along now. It'd be great for him to stick around. One player that I hope we don't keep around is Billy Magoulias. Look, he's living off those 2 fluke plays for the Newtown Jets, and we'll always thank him for them. But when he's coming to first grade, it's just a step too far for him. He could go to a club like the West Tigers, the North Queensland Cowboys, or the Bulldogs, and hopefully revitalise his career. He's only young, but I just don't think that the style of play that we want to play with is going to suit him, and keeping him around would be not the best decision in my eyes.
Also, come November 1st, we're going to have a host of players come off contract for the 2023 season, which means other teams can come in and offer big money contracts to sign them away. Players including Brayley, Fafita, Hunt, Moylan, Nakora, and Williams. Of those aforementioned players, Williams, Pele, Nakora, Hamlin, Ueli, and Brayley, they're players that we've hedged our futures on. So Fitz is going to come in and have to make some quick decisions. We have some cashed-up clubs likely to come in and want to get their grubby hands on our players. I have a feeling November is going to be a very important month for the makeup of the club.
Let's go with some backs now. Look, Will Chambers, should he stay? Should he go? I'm leaning towards, I don't think Will Chambers is the player that we need to keep at the club. Look, obviously we need that veteran leadership. We've always kind of had it there with a Josh Morris or a Bryson Goodwin, but I think there's better value out there than Will Chambers. And look, he did us a solid this year. He came in, he played well. He brought some professionalism back to the club. He, stayed in the car for 8 hours because he'd been in Melbourne. He wasn't allowed to travel with the team. He had to go into quarantine. I understand he had a baby and all that, but look, defensively, Will Chambers is one of the best defensive players that the game has ever seen, but this new pace of rugby league is not for him. And his attitude on the field as well, getting lippy when you're down by 40 points. So I'm kind of happy for him to go. He offered his services to the Broncos. He fits in well up there. The other player, Jackson Ferris, look, I definitely think it's worth giving him a 1-year deal. You can probably put him on a development player contract for 1 more year. Injuries are cruelling this guy, but we saw his one performance against the Broncos that he is a first-grade player. I think there's definitely something there. We're crying out for a centre who can bust tackles and score tries. with some pace, and that's definitely him. He could put some pressure on Jensen and Janai Lualua as well, so he's definitely one I'd be keeping around.
On a lighter note, this weekend it is worth mentioning that both Blake Ferguson and Josh Morris, who have in the past come out and publicly bagged the Sharks, were knocked out of the finals unceremoniously, and I, for one, am very happy.
It's time for some Top Sports tips, and look, if you followed us last week, we absolutely rinsed Top Sport again. They gave me a call just before and said, look, can you not give out all the key secrets to your followers? But look, you guys are cleaning up some cash as well if you're following us. Look, the game I've got for you is the Bunnies versus Manly. I'm really excited for this game. I think the other one's going to be an absolute bludger. It's going to be one-way traffic. This is going to be an awesome game. Cody Walker versus Tom Turbo. These are the two guys that's going to come down fighting out for the Dally M. They're also fighting out for a grand final spot as well. Look, the Bunnies, they've got, they had the week off. They had that tough game against Penrith. They're rested. Manly had it really, easy and comfortable against the Roosters. Look, I think this is going to be a cracking game. There's going to be lots of tries in there. It's going to come down to some individual brilliance, and we've got the two most individual, brilliant players of the 2021 campaign. I think it's going to be edged to Tom Turbo, though. I think he's going to do enough to get Manly into this grand final. He had that absolute shocking performance against Melbourne. He's bounced back. Daly Cherry-Evans really stepped up as well. Jason Saab, the Manly forward pack. I really see them taking it to I really see Manly taking it to Souths and being able to beat them. I think it'll come down to sort of around about the 75th minute. There'll just be some individual brilliance from Turbo. I'm going to pick this game 1-12. Turbo's going to get across the line. So is Jason Saab.
The second prelim sees the game we were all, quite frankly, expecting to be the decider as the Storm and the Panthers will clash. The week off, you just can't understate how important it is. The Storm will have Addo Carr back. Cam Munster's had another week to rest. He's injured everything. Penrith are coming in off 80 minutes of ragtag football. They copped some big hits. They got some players up at the judiciary tomorrow. I am expecting all of them to be cleared. There wasn't anything over the top, but that's the risk you run when you play that extra game. Nathan Cleary looked like he had an ankle injury at times. Dylan Edwards had a Lachlan Coote-esque nightmare game. Look, Melbourne for mine, I think they win this quite convincingly. I have a feeling if this was the grand final and Penrith had gone through on the back of a week off, we'd have a very close defensive-orientated game. Melbourne just looked too good for me. I think Pappenhausen will go ballistic. And if he doesn't, you've got Nico Hines sitting on the bench ready to explode. So I'm going to say Melbourne. We'll go 1-12, but I think it will be convincing. Much like the grand final was, Penrith will come back at the end. Nathan Cleary will score his weekly garbage time try. Not that it'll matter. Look, for me, Cam Munster, man of the match. The bigger the game, the bigger his performance. 1-12, go the unders. There's not going to be many points in this game. It's going to be a beauty, but I think Melbourne just too good yet again.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning into another episode of Rugby League Outlaws brought to you by Punctured Media. Don't forget to like and subscribe on all the socials where you can. All the content's coming out now. Make sure you give Dan and I a follow as well. We appreciate that. Look, it's tough times. I'm nearly back to being able to record in the studio with the big fella. But as always, Dan.
Prelims, baby!